We really try to distill that which makes this program so wonderful and the ways in which we want to intentionally and strategically grow. And so in that process, looking at the goals and criteria, looking at the programs that we have, we identified 4 practices that we believe reflect our values, and they're rooted deeply in girls' education research as to practices that make an impact on learning in girls' school spaces. So these 4 practices are courage, connection, voice, and justice. And I can imagine that they're not surprising to anyone in this room because they are at the heart of what you all have been doing. And so our intention this year and moving forward is to be thoughtful about how do we do this better? How do we grow in this way? And we're going to need everyone to help us with that process. So let's dive in a little bit more to each of these practices.
So we all know that St. Madeleine Sophie started a school for girls during the French Revolution, right? That takes courage. That courage is exactly what we want for our students this day and age, right? We want to help them push themselves beyond what they think they're capable of. We want them to ask questions and not be afraid of that. We want them to make connections with others that maybe they wouldn't have thought that they could make connections with, and that takes courage. And we know that we already give them courage in some of our programming. Project Term, for example, right? Like having these girls use big power tools to build a house, having girls collect sharks and take samples of them, have girls climb mountains they never thought that they could, and having the courage to really push themselves beyond what they think they're capable of. We see them have courage when they go to service and they see a little kid that maybe doesn't have a snack and just wants some attention. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna give that to you. And we see them have courage in their class when they're speaking out, when they're asking questions, when they're saying like, I don't understand, or I really think this is the reason and this is why. And so we want to continue to foster that with our students.
And one of the ways that we'd like to see our students and our community grow in courage is in the way we explore career opportunities, the way we connect with community outside of the school through possible externships or opportunities to connect with professionals in career fields that we'd like to learn more about, which can be uncomfortable, and it takes bravery to ask questions about who you are and who you want to be in the world. Connection, of course, has always been foundational to the Sacred Heart Way. Relationships are so important in this community. When we're talking about connection, we're not just thinking about connection between students, which is, of course, incredibly important. We're also talking about connections between students and staff. That's come up again and again in my conversations as I'm starting to get to know the community, just how strong the relationships are between teachers and students. And also connection between students and what they're learning. The way they see themselves, or the way they're challenged by the curriculum that they're learning, and the experiences that they get to participate in.
We want to just build more tools in our students' tool belts so they're able to make connections with people, whether it's for a career, in their community, or globally. And that's one of our gifts to having a network, being able to make those connections with women all across the globe. One of the things that really drew me to Sacred Heart and that I'm most proud of is that we help our students develop their voice. And our students know how to use their voice to make positive change. I was reflecting and I was thinking like, when I came here 12 years ago, stepped into my English classroom, it took me 2 weeks, I was like, these girls know how to use their voice. They know how to say, to speak up, to ask questions. I was like, I wish I had that before I got to college. Giving these girls these tools before they go to college opens the doors, so many more opportunities for them. Like, what did I miss out on not having this, right? It's just one of the greatest gifts that we give to our students. And we want to continue to develop that as they grow with us for the next 4 years.
And one of the ways we want to do that is think strategically about opportunities to invite students in to co-design some of the experiences that they have here. Whether it's taking ownership over certain spaces in the school that they can decorate and govern themselves, or it's certain programming or choices within the curriculum. We want them to be able to use their voice to advocate and take ownership of their learning and what how they want to develop. Goal 3 of our community is in regards to growing our social awareness and growing our social action. And this is something that drew me absolutely to this community. When I started to learn about service and project term, and the fact that it's not just like a date on the calendar, but it's embedded into the way in which students learn and grow, I was so compelled and in the reflection of how impactful that is and how much that becomes a part of you when you're consistently showing up every single Thursday for a whole school year, when you're traveling and immersed in a different place in a project with people who might be very different than you. We want to continue growing our commitment to developing a heart for justice in our students, motivated by our active faith in God, by helping students to deepen the connection with project term at the now what phase. After you return, now what? What do you do with the knowledge that you have gained on that trip? What do you do with the courage that you've built and the maybe perspectives that you've gained? We want to more intentionally integrate that learning into what comes next.
And as you can tell, like, these are essentially our foundation, right? Our goals and criteria, but being able to enhance our programs just so our girls have that much more skills when they leave us.
And of course, the outcome that we're all working towards is that our students become transformational leaders and problem solvers in the world. And we want that to really mean something and not just be words on a page. And I think that's something that Sacred Heart does really well. Every single person knows that that's what we're working towards. And so backwards planning from that, how are we making sure that every experience we give to our students is helping you to become a transformational leader in the world, no matter where you go after your time here?